These are the sneaker releases that you need to know about in May 2024, and this is Sit or Sell. Let me not waste any of your time, let's just dive right into it on May 1st with the Nike Bode Astrograbber. So this collaboration between Nike and Bode is actually reviving the Astrograbber silhouette for the first time in a very long time, and the shoe apparently comes in two different colorways. You've got a black and you've got a coconut milk. According to Nike, this shoe comes with 5 different lace options that you can switch out, so it doesn't look like a plain tan shoe or a plain black shoe. They do give you a couple different variations. And I'll be honest, I know nothing about Bode, but I'm assuming because Nike's collaborating with them on something, it should be a relatively popular silhouette. So because of that, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I think that both of these colorways may actually end up selling out, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I really don't know what the hype is on these. Let me check resale really quickly. I mean, they are reselling, so it's very possible that they sell out. So that's my guess. I'm gonna go with that. I'm giving them a sell. Also dropping on May 1st, we've got the Nike Kobe 8 Protro Mambacita. So this shoe is releasing to honor Gigi Bryant on her 18th birthday. The design of the shoe is inspired by the joy that Gigi Bryant brought to the game of basketball. It features her name, it features a gold Nike swoosh, and it also features butterflies printed on the upper. On the heel of the shoe, you've got Gigi's number, as well as the gold Mambacita branding embroidered into the top of the ankle area. It's a beautiful sneaker, it's a really nice tribute, and a shoe that I would love to get my hands on if I can get a pair. But knowing Kobe releases, not only is this shoe going to be very limited, but also very difficult to get because it's going to be incredibly popular. So if you want a pair of these, might have to pay resale, so because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sell. Moving on to May 2nd, we've got 2 different colorways of the Patta Nike Air Harachi 20Y24. So when I first heard about this shoe, I was like, I've never seen this silhouette before. Is it a new silhouette? And apparently, it is. It's actually a combination of the Nike Air Harachi and the Nike Pegasus. And this Patta collaboration is releasing in 2 different colorways, a Saffron Quartz and Sandrift colorway, and the black and cool gray colorway. And both of these colorways are totally fine. I think I prefer the Saffron Quartz colorway because I like that like yellow and blue contrast going on in the upper, but I'll be honest, I don't know if there's a lot of hype behind this collaboration. I'm looking at resale right now, and it seems like they're going for like $250, but no one's buying pairs. There haven't been any sold pairs of any of the colorways. So I'm assuming there's not a lot of hype for this collaboration, which doesn't totally surprise me because sneakers aren't really moving the way that they used to. And when it's a silhouette that no one's seen before, that's not, you know, the most beautiful sneaker ever, I think the hype is just not going to be there. So for that reason, I'm giving both of these colorways a sit. Dropping on May 3rd is the Nike Dunk Low Varsity Red Silver. So this colorway originally released as a Co.JP colorway or Concept.Japan colorway. The base color of the shoe is Varsity Red and the overlays come in a light gray or I guess silver. It is $135, which is a lot for a pair of Nike Dunks. I don't know why they keep raising the price of Dunks, but they do and it sucks. I'm not gonna lie, this colorway is really solid. I like it a lot. I do think that the hype for Dunks is pretty much dead at this point, but for a colorway like this that a lot of people know and love, I do think that there is a potential for this shoe to sell out. Will it resell? Probably not, but I do think this shoe will end up selling out. So for that reason, sell. Coming in on a very fitting May 4th, we've got the Air Jordan 4 Industrial Blue. This is, without a doubt, one of the most hyped up sneakers of the entire year. Sure, it's not the most limited sneaker of the year, but the hype for this shoe is ridiculous. And I mean, there's already been like 2 drops for this sneaker already. You've had the shock drop, and then you've had like the early access, neither of which I got. My wife and my daughter got a pair, but not me. And on May 4th, we get the wider release. Now, what I'm worried about is that if I don't win on the wider release, the resale price is gonna go up because people are gonna realize that was it. That was all of the drop. And unfortunately, that means that I'll probably not be able to get a pair for retail, which is just a huge bummer, but I'm gonna try. But the reason this shoe is so hyped up is because it's an Air Jordan 4, firstly, and Air Jordan 4s are very popular, but also it's an OG colorway, originally called the Military Blues, now called the Industrial Blues. And while the shoe is not the exact same color tone as the original, it's very, very similar and it's essentially the same thing, and it's got Nike Air on the heel. Earlier this year, we got another huge Air Jordan 4 release with the Bread 4 Reimagines, which are a really great pair of sneakers, but for a lot of people, that wasn't the 4 of the year. This is the 4 of the year because, again, OG colorway, and we haven't gotten it since like 2012. I mean, we got the Golf one, which I still couldn't get, even though it's a golf shoe and it's cleats on the bottom. But either way, I've got to have a pair of these, even though there's apparently a lot of pairs available, or there will be a lot of pairs available, and we've already had 2 drops. The hype is still going to be insane for these, so for that reason, giving these shoes a sell. Next up on May 8th, we've got the Nike Cortez in Varsity Red, White, and Blue. If you didn't already know, these are the Forrest Gumps. This is the shoe that he wore in the movie, at least in part of the movie, and apparently this version of the shoe is slightly different than the original. According to the sneakers app, Nike claims that they've widened the toe box and also made the sides of the sneaker a little bit firmer so they're not as floppy, which is definitely a good thing. But from a purely visual point of view, it looks unchanged, which is actually probably an even better thing. Now, the Nike Cortez in the original colorway has never been an overly hyped shoe, but I do think there is going to be some demand for it, even at this $110 retail price. I just don't know if the demand is going to be enough for all of the sizes to sell out. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sit, although I do think it's a solid shoe. I would like to try this new construction of the shoe, and if you're trying to be Tom Hanks for Halloween, this is a great shoe to grab. And actually, to be fair, this would be a good summer shoe. Also dropping on the 8th, we've got the Nike Zoom Lebron 4 in black and varsity purple. Also known as the eggplants because the colorway of this shoe is very eggplant-like. In fact, the upper of the shoe is made of foamposite material. The shoe comes in this really interesting iridescent purple. Now, at the time of recording this video, LeBron has not yet been knocked out of the playoffs. The Suns have, but not LeBron. And probably the Sixers will be soon. But it makes sense that Nike's dropping this shoe during the playoffs because the LeBron hype is real right now. If he can come back from this 3-1 deficit, again, it could be one of his most insane comebacks yet. And I think if that was the case, this shoe would sell out, and probably every colorway of the LeBrons would sell out, at least all of the retro LeBrons. Unfortunately, we don't think that's going to happen, and the LeBron 4 is not an incredibly popular model at this point. So at this point, I do think that this colorway will sit on shelves like the black colorway did a couple months ago, and for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Doesn't mean it's a bad shoe, but I don't think the hype is going to be there. Plus, how much is it? $250. It's a lot. Dropping on May 9th, we've got the Kid Super Puma MB3. This collaboration is surprisingly clean. I think the MB3 silhouette is already pretty dope as it is, but when you add the Kid Super collab, the Kid Super touches with like the pink, the eyeballs, and the mouth or whatever it is, it's kind of cool. In my opinion, it's kind of like an art piece shoe. They put like a painting on top of the shoe. I get that it's not for everybody. I get that some people might think that it's ugly, but I'm into it. I dig it, but I genuinely couldn't tell you what the hype is going to be for this shoe. I do know that there are apparently other shoes dropping as part of this collaboration. I don't know when they're dropping, but I think we've got some Puma lifestyle sneakers dropping as well. Not as cool as this sneaker, but in my opinion, dope shoe, dope colorway. I just don't know if it's going to sell out. And based on the fact that I haven't really heard about this from anywhere else other than like sneaker websites, which is usually where I hear about most of my sneakers, but if a shoe's really hyped, you'll see it talked about on Twitter all over the place. I'm going to give this shoe a sit. Moving on to May 10th, we've got the Nike ACG Rufus in limestone and black. This is an odd one for me. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of this. Apparently it's a silhouette that's gone away and then is coming back for the first time in a while. It's kind of just a suede upper on a black midsole with a trail-ish outsole. I do understand the appeal. Like, I like my Birkenstocks. I think they're great. This kind of has that same sort of vibe, but I don't love it. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be here for it. So because of that, I think that this shoe will probably end up sitting on shelves, especially at the price point of $110. I feel like that's a little bit much, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this shoe in the comment section down below, but for right now, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Also dropping on the 10th is the Nike Dunk Low Varsity Green. This is an incredibly clean colorway, one of my favorite Nike Dunk Low colorways. It features a white leather upper accented by varsity green overlays and of course a varsity green outsole. This shoe is dropping for a reasonable $115, especially when compared to the Co.JPs that we talked about earlier on in the video. Colorway is awesome, the sneaker is awesome, it's a Nike Dunk Low, although they're not flying off shelves like they used to. I do think a colorway like this, as popular as it's always been, I do think this shoe will end up selling out and selling out relatively quickly. Also potentially dropping on May 10th is one of my favorite sneaker releases of the entire year, possibly sneaker of the year for me, and that's the Futura Nike SB Dunk Low. Now Futura Labs has been working with Nike for decades at this point. Futura does graffiti art and has created some of the most beautiful sneaker collaborations, in my opinion, of all time. Most recently, a shoe that's been incredibly hyped is the Futura Off-White Nike Dunk Lows. That shoe never officially released to the public. I think it was a friends and family release that sold through Sotheby's, and it went for $20,000, I think, per shoe. It's probably worth more now. So it's really nice to be able to have a release that's in a similar sort of graffiti style that more people will be able to have. And as much as I love that Futura Off-White collaboration, I think this colorway is a little bit cleaner. I'd still rather have those because of what they are. But I do think this colorway is incredibly clean. I mean, the blues and the pinks and all of it just kind of mashed together. It's ridiculous. Now, because the design is printed on the upper, it does mean that the upper of the shoe is made of canvas and not leather, which I realize might turn some people off. But for a shoe like this is like one of those Nike Dunk collaborations that I used to love back in like the 2000s and 2010s when they were wild and crazy. It's just like that. It's a dunk with personality and I love that about it. And it's a shoe that I'm absolutely trying to grab. In fact, shout out to Secret Sauce. I did actually have a pair in person that I really liked a lot that I filmed some B-roll of, which is what you guys are seeing right now. I didn't end up doing a full review. I should have. I regretted it a lot. But hopefully when this shoe releases, I'll get a pair for myself and then I can give you guys a review if you want to see it. But I'm just sure the hype is going to be just insane on this shoe. So for that reason, giving this shoe a sell, and hopefully I can somehow win a raffle for these. I probably will pay resale for these if I have to. I don't know what it is right now. Let me see. Also, not totally confirmed if they're releasing on May 10th, but that seems to be the date that's going around. So that's why I'm telling you guys about it. That's a lot. $900 for instant ship. That is more than they're worth, I think, personally. But hey, you know what? If I can get a pair for like $500, I'll do it. Moving on to May 11th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Low Shadow. I actually already got a pair of these from the shock drop that happened like 2 months ago. I think they were supposed to release in April and then they got pushed back, I think. Not 100% sure, but either way, it's a low top Air Jordan 1 Shadow, one of the classic Air Jordan 1 colorways, and this low top, honestly, is ridiculously clean. I realize that Jordan 1s are not as hyped as they used to be, and people kind of pass them by, which I think is stupid because this is like a perfect summer shoe. The Air Jordan 1 Low in general is like the perfect summer shoe. It's like a better dunk. That's my opinion, but I'm biased because I love the Air Jordan 1. This shoe, like the original Shadow 1s, comes with a black upper accented by shadow hits on the heel and on the toe of the sneaker. And honestly, there's not really much to it. It's a Shadow Air Jordan 1 Low. Do I think that this shoe will sell out? I'm not totally sure. As we saw with the black toe ones, which I think would be a more hyped up shoe than this because it's got red in it, they sold out, but then they restocked and then you could find pairs at the outlet and they were kind of all over the place. So I really don't know what the hype is going to be like on these. I know resale is basically retail, if not below. So because of that, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up sitting on shelves, but in my opinion, that's a travesty because this shoe is amazing. It's an OG colorway and the Air Jordan 1 Low is awesome. So I say pick it up, but overall, I guess I have to rate it a sit. Yeah, they're going for below retail on StockX. That's ridiculous. It's a fire shoe. The retail is $140. They're going for like $124. With fees, obviously, it'll be more than retail, but still, incredible sneaker. Also dropping on the 11th is the Adidas Bad Bunny Campus, The Last Campus. Obviously, their collaboration is still happening, but this will be the last time that they collaborate on a pair of campuses, which honestly, for me, might be my favorite Adidas Bad Bunny collaboration. I have the tan one. I don't remember the name of the colorway, but I wear it all the time. It's a super awesome shoe, and so it is very sad to see this collaboration ending on this particular silhouette. Now, speaking of those tan campuses, this shoe is very similar in every way except for the base upper material. The base upper material comes in a dark brown suede instead of the light tan suede like the pair that I have, but every other accent color on the shoe is that same light tan color. Because of this color blocking, I think the shoe looks a lot more European. It's got that sort of like Euro soccer vibe to it, which might be what they're going for. I don't like this colorway as much. I kind of like the more monochromatic campuses, but hey, it's just my own opinion. That being said, the shoe is still super clean. I'll probably go for a pair myself. I think that there will be some hype behind it. It is releasing for $160, which is kind of middle of the road for sneaker releases nowadays, which is crazy to say because like the most expensive Jordans used to be $160, 10 years ago. But I think even though this collab is hyped up and I think the shoe will sell well, I don't think it'll sell out. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Dropping on May 17th, we've got the Nike KD17 Sunrise. 2024 has been incredible for performance basketball sneakers. We got the AE1, well technically we got that at the end of 2023, but mainly it dropped in 2024. We got the Harden Volume 8, and now we're getting the KD17, a shoe which has revived the KD line in my head. The design of this shoe is inspired by the Nike Air Max Plus, and it features the same sort of tendrils or arms coming off of the midsole that you have in the Nike Air Max Plus, and I think it's probably one of the best Nike basketball sneakers, new Nike basketball sneakers of the last 5-10 years, genuinely. Now that's purely from a visual point of view. I haven't played basketball in this sneaker, but I do think the shoe looks absolutely incredible, and it's a shoe that I would absolutely wear casually. And this Sunrise colorway that comes in like a white, a yellow, and an orange, and it features blue hits is just so ridiculously clean. I don't know, man. I would really rock this shoe, and I've been trying to grab a pair early to give you guys a full review, but unfortunately I haven't been able to find a pair for a reasonable price, which is crazy to say for an early performance basketball sneaker. Usually they're not that difficult to find, but in this case, people must really want this shoe, or maybe this colorway is really limited. I don't know. I mean, we saw with the Book 1s, that first colorway was almost impossible to get, so maybe that's what's happening with this colorway, but still, man, this shoe is clean. So I'm gonna give this shoe a sell, and I realize some of you guys might be saying, why are you giving a performance basketball sneaker a sell? They never sell out. Well, sometimes they do, and it's usually when it's a new performance basketball model. Like every year, usually the first colorway of a new performance basketball model of a popular athlete does end up selling out. And secondly, it's a very, very clean colorway. And actually, kind of thirdly, it might be more limited than any of the other KD17 colorways. Now, I should mention that it is possible that the hype might have died down a little bit because KD was just swept in the first round of the playoffs, but I do think a lot of people sort of disassociate those two things and just like a shoe because of the shoe itself and not just because they like the player. So again, fire sneaker, and I'm absolutely giving this shoe a sell. Then rounding off May 17th, we've got one of the most limited and probably one of the most hyped up sneakers of the month, the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Low Elkins. So I've actually already done a full review on this sneaker, and if you guys want to check that out, there will be a link at the top of the screen, but this is probably one of the wildest Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 colorways ever. I mean, the shoe is bright yellow and blue. It's definitely one of the brightest Travis Scott shoes ever, but there's a reason for that, and the reason is that this is the colorway of the high school that Travis Scott actually attended, Elkins High. And I totally understand that some people might not like this colorway because it's too bright or too crazy, but I personally think it's one of the cleanest Travises to drop in a very long time. Honestly, because it's so crazy. Plus, seeing it in person, the materials are solid, the leathers feel good, the yellow is super bright and vibrant, the blue is clean, and it's got a gum outsole, which just contrasts the look so nicely. It's fire. Unfortunately, I forgot to mention, it is technically a women's only release, so it's not going to be for the large footers out there, which sucks. But for the medium-sized people with size 9 feet like myself, we're good to go. Right now, the resale price on this pair is ridiculous because there just aren't a lot of pairs in the market, but I would be interested to see how it does after it actually releases. I wonder if it's going to be more popular than the all black Travis Scott One Lows, which seem to be like the least popular pair of Travis Scott One Lows. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not the case anymore, but last time I checked, they were. I'd be interested to see if this shoe drops in resale when it finally releases, or if it skyrockets in resale. I really have no idea what's going to happen. But again, if you guys want a closer look at this shoe before it officially releases, make sure to check out my review. And obviously, I think this shoe will end up selling out. Next up, on May 18th, we've got the Air Jordan 11 Low Space Jam. I actually just dropped a review for this sneaker like 2 days ago. I've dropped reviews for like almost all the sneakers dropping this month. It's wild. I'm ahead of the game, what can I say? If you guys want to subscribe to see all the early sneaker reviews coming up, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Regardless, this is probably one of my favorite summer sneakers of the year. It's a low top Air Jordan 1 Low Space Jam, one of the most iconic Air Jordan 11 colorways of all time. Interestingly, even though Michael Jordan wore the Space Jam colorway in the 95 playoffs and again in the 1996 movie Space Jam, it didn't officially release until 2000. And since 2000, we've never had really a Space Jam low. I mean, we've had IEs, we've had, they weren't the tuxedos, I called them tuxedos in the review, they're actually the infrareds, and we've had shoes that look like Space Jam lows, like the Comforts, but now in 2024, we're actually getting a Space Jam 11 low. And as you'd expect, the shoe looks just like the standard Space Jam, except with the top cut off, and I think it's incredible. Now, retail price-wise, it's not the cheapest at $190, but I do think there is a decent amount of hype behind this shoe, and I think when it officially releases on May 18th, it will sell out and possibly even resell for a little bit over retail. I don't know what that'll be, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're seeing like $220 resale prices, which is not really any money for anyone selling the shoes, but if you want to buy a pair, unfortunately, it will sell out, so you're gonna have to be on your game if you want to get them. All that aside, it's a very clean sneaker and one that I definitely recommend picking up if you like Air Jordan 11s. Continuing on to May 21st, we've got the Nike KD4 Weatherman. I don't know if this is flying under the radar. I don't know if I'm sensing a pattern here or what it is, but I think 2024 might be one of the best years for KD sneakers ever. We're getting a new model that looks amazing, and we're getting some of the most iconic KD colorways back again for the first time. I mean, on All-Star Weekend, we got the Galaxy 4s, the Nerfs are coming, we've got the Weathermans. It's just amazing for KD sneakers if you're a fan. Plus, you can make a case for the KD4 being the best KD of all time, so a lot of good stuff happening this year. Now, from what I can tell, this shoe remains relatively unchanged from the original KD4 Weatherman. Obviously, KD wanted to be a Weatherman before he became one of the best basketball players of all time. It's kind of funny that that's what he originally wanted to do, but either way. The shoe comes in a green upper. Of course, you've got the iconic weather radar printed on the upper of the shoe in red, orange, and yellow, and black. And sure, now in 2024, performance basketball sneakers not as easy to wear as they once were, but I still think this is a shoe that some people could get away with wearing casually. Because this colorway was so popular back in 2012 when it first released, and also so limited, I do think that there will be a lot of hype behind this new release of the shoe, and for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell. Man, the heat just keeps releasing in May. It's ridiculous because on May 22nd, we've got the J Balvin Air Jordan 3 Rio. So the J Balvin 3s that released last year were one of my favorite sneaker releases of the entire year, and quite possibly could be one of my favorite sneaker releases in my collection. In fact, I think I'm gonna wear these to Bible study tonight because I forgot how much I like them. And J Balvin is following up this wildly popular release with the Rio colorway. It's so interesting how the J Balvin 1s were popular, but not incredibly popular. The J Balvin 2s were a little bit more popular than that, but now are selling for less in retail. And then we got the J Balvin 3s, his third collaboration with Jordan Brand, and that was by far the most popular, the shoe that just blew everyone's mind, and now we're getting a second colorway of it because of how popular it was. And the good news is, on this Rio colorway, they're not changing up too much. Well, okay, sure, it's a black shoe. It looks pretty different from the original Air Jordan 3s, but the color blocking and the placement of the colors and the accent colors on the shoe are the same. So like the pair that released last year, you've got this beautiful black to orange to yellow gradient on the midsole and of course on the heel tab of the shoe. But the main difference between this year's release and last year's release is that the upper of the shoe now comes in a black nubuck instead of a cream leather. And actually I'm noticing now in the picture that the outsole of the shoe is different as well. On the original release, it was sort of this milky white outsole. On the new release, it's sort of an orange on the toe and on the heel outsole, which I think is actually pretty cool. It's a must cop for me. I don't know if I like it as much as the J Balvins that I currently have in my collection, but they're a solid second pair to have. And honestly, I hope J Balvin is working on a pair of 4s next because I love this 3s collaboration. I think it's amazing, and I'd love to have a J Balvin 4. I wasn't a huge fan of the J Balvin 1s. I like the J Balvin 2s, but these 3s, both amazing, both incredible. Now, as far as retail price, these shoes are slated to release for $250, which is a lot, but I think it's worth it for this collaboration. And again, they are supposed to release on May 22nd. That's not officially confirmed by Nike, but that's what we're expecting. And yes, they will definitely sell out. Dropping on May 25th is the Air Jordan 12 Red Taxi. Now, Red Taxi does sound like a dumb name for a sneaker, but that's only because this is a slightly different version of the taxis with a red accent. I also don't think that's what Nike's going to name them. I'm sure they're going to be called something like the Air Jordan 12 White Black Varsity Reds or something like that. But either way, it is a white, black, and red Air Jordan 12. It features a white leather upper with a black mudguard and, of course, a little red hit on the midsole. I'm not really the biggest fan of 12s anymore. I used to love them in my 20s. but the more I wear them, the more I'm like, these are boots on my feet. They feel like boots, they look like boots, they're just not for me. That PSNY 12 though was fire, and one of my coworkers got it in like 2015 when it dropped, and I was jealous, but nowadays, not too mad about it. Shout out to Kawhi, by the way, if you're watching this. But hey, I don't speak for everyone. A lot of people like the Air Jordan 12, and I think there will be a lot of people out there who are into this colorway because it's pretty wearable. But $200 for a non-OG pair of 12s, I think these shoes will end up in outlets pretty quickly, so because of that, giving these shoes a sit. Next up on May 29th, we've got the women's Air Jordan 1 High Latte. This shoe is sort of like a desaturated Mocha 1. It's got that brown hit on the heel in suede or nubuck or whatever that is. Maybe Durabuck, I don't know. Either way, it looks very similar. They just turned down the saturation on it just a bit and made it in women's sizing. But hey, I'm not mad at that. The Mocha 1s are a really clean shoe that I think a lot of people love, and I think this could be one of the better women's Air Jordan 1 colorways that released this year. Now that being said, Air Jordan 1s sit nowadays if they're not a collaboration or an OG colorway, and I think this is one of those shoes that although it looks great, it's going to be a shoe that sits on shelves for weeks and probably ends up at the outlet very quickly. Not a bad thing though, because I think there's a lot of people who should go to the outlet and grab this shoe if you like this colorway, because you can probably grab it for cheaper than what it's going for right now, which is $180 for a women's Air Jordan 1 High. It's ridiculous. Very clean colorway, but I just don't think this shoe is selling out. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Finally, rounding off the month on May 31st, we've got the Nike KD4 Protro Girl Dad. So this shoe is obviously a colorway that's releasing in honor of Kobe's daughters and features this beautiful bio-coastal green suede upper. In addition to that, you've got black accents on the laces, on the Nike swoosh, and other panels of the shoe. You've got a semi-translucent outsole and a metallic silver heel counter. Now, obviously, this shoe is going to be popular because it's a pair of Kobe's, and just every Kobe colorway right now is selling out and reselling for a decent amount of money. But the reason that I really want this shoe is because I recently became a girl dad, and I really like the fact that this shoe is the Girl Dad Kobe's. Now, I'll admit, if the name of the shoe was different and it wasn't the Girl Dad Kobe's, I might not feel like I need to buy it. That said, I do like the way the shoe looks. It just wouldn't be a must cop for me. But as it is, it's a must cop, and of course, because it's a Kobe, I do think this shoe will sell out. So because of that, giving this shoe a sell. But that pretty much wraps up Sit or Sell for this month. Let me know in the comment section down below which one of these shoes you're looking forward to most. Subscribe if you haven't yet to see more videos just like this, and also early sneaker reviews, and I will see you all in the next one.